What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. So first up, we have a physique update from Samson Dauda. Samson is just finishing up week 2 of his rebound, and he looks like he's responded really well. Him and Milos must be really happy with this. He looks like he's added some width from the back, definitely looks bigger across the chest, but he's keeping things fairly tight. You won't see Samson too far out of shape, especially with the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing coming up. Hopefully we see Samson do a few more guest posings this year too. Now, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Samson hit 320 by the end of his rebound, and I still don't think that's out of the question. But what he put on so far might even be enough. I don't think there's too much risk of Samson getting too big and blowing out his midsection, not from a rebound phase anyway. But yeah, of course, Samson's rebound is very impressive, but he doesn't need to put on much more muscle to be competitive. He just needs to continue to refine his physique. But when you see the amount of food this guy prepped in one day, I'd say he's still going to have a couple of numbers going up on the scale yet. This guy obviously did a contest prep diet for long enough because he is on the food and he's on it hard. I mean, look, he doesn't even use regular containers. He's got his food in these Rubbermaid storage bins, it looks like. I mean, between the chicken and the steak, there's like just 3 massive tubs. It's actually pretty funny. And that's before you factor in carbs. So you know what? This is a good lesson for any aspiring bodybuilders out there for sure. You want to get big? Well, are you really eating big? Just take a look. Anyway, we'll see how far Samson goes. I still have 320 on the table. Alright, so I was looking around at bodybuilders out there that are doing the upcoming New York Pro because, we're 8 weeks out and not many have announced that they're doing the show yet that I can find. But we do have Stuart Sutherland doing the show. Beef Stew, as he's known on Instagram, who's going to be sharing that stage with the likes of Carlos Thomas Jr. Now, Stuart is a self-described mediocre bodybuilder, which is pretty funny, really. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's realistic about where he stands in the IFBB Pro League. But honestly, after seeing these updates at 8 weeks out, I think he's got potential. Now, Stuart won the Mr. USA in 2022. He earned his pro card at his first national show, and a pretty cool looking sword, I might add. And then he went on to compete in Tampa the following weekend, just so he could stand in a lineup with some IFBB pros and see where he stands. So he's been working on bringing up his weak points ever since then, and I think he's improved for sure. He's got a great X-frame, great quad sweep, he's got good proportions. He's becoming a very complete bodybuilder. He still needs more overall size, and his back needs some work especially, but I think Stuart could move up the ranks with some more improvements, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing him on that New York Pro stage. So there's a guy that some of you may not have heard of, but I think he's on the rise. Go follow him on Instagram. He's got a great attitude, and he's got a great physique that's, I think, on its way up. The guy's weighing in around 270 right now. I mean, he's just massive. Well, I'm not exactly sure what Nick Walker weighed during his guest posing at the Utah Cup yesterday, but Nick showed up, he looked great, and he put on a great show for the crowd. That's one thing that Nick is doing a lot more of this year. He's doing more appearances, guest posings. He just had that HD Muscle event that he was at too. The Pittsburgh Pro guest posing is coming up. So it's good to see Nick out there to inspire these young bodybuilders. The sport needs that, and it's a good opportunity for Nick to put himself out there too. Connect with the crowd throughout the year. So this is good to see. Now, aside from the guest posing, after watching some of Nick's recent training footage, I was looking at how Nick is really being pushed by this guy. I'm sure you're all aware of him by now. Jared Feather. But who is Jared Feather? I mean, who is this guy that Nick is allowing in his inner circle of his bodybuilding career? And I mean, look, it's no secret at this point. Nick will do anything to make as much notable improvements as possible before the Olympia stage this year. But, Nick seems like a creature of habit. He's kind of set in his ways, not big on a ton of change when it comes to being in the gym or, people he works with. I mean, Nick went to work with Dom Superslice and changed back to Matt Jansen, right? Which I do think was a good move. But anyway, this guy, Jared Feather, that Nick has entrusted with his training. Well, I looked into this guy a bit. So, Jared has some pretty impressive credentials, actually. He's got a Master of Sciences in Exercise Physiology. He has a minor in Sports Nutrition. He studied kinesiology. But, he's also a pretty seasoned competitor. He turned pro in 2017 as a natural in Classic Physique, turned 10 people pro the following year as a coach, and won NPC Nationals in 2020. And Jared also has aspirations to be on that Olympia stage someday himself. And he's a trainer with Renaissance Periodization. So that's a pretty impressive resume for a young guy, I'd say. And when you look at it like that, I think it's no question why Nick is training with Jared. And of course, they're both local to Las Vegas. Nick has someone to structure and track his program and his progress, make adjustments to Nick's training, which would be very much rooted in science. And it's just an overall shock to the system that Nick really needs. So yeah, that's Jared Feather in a nutshell. Now, as for Jared's competitive career himself, he still has some size to put on until he's really ready for that Olympia stage, but I'm sure as long as he keeps training with Nick, we'll hear more about him. So I'm definitely going to follow along with Jared, and I do think that this is going to push Nick to new heights in his training and his physique. Anyway, that's it for me in this video, you guys. Thank you for tuning into EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.